How did Constantine even get involved in injustice? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues, and I break them down into digestible ways to help you understand. Then I read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Injustice Year 5 is being paced out differently, making it last a little longer than we intended. So while we wait for it to end, we're going to be looking at some of the side stories that I skipped over during the entire series. This time, it's going to be how did Constantine even get involved? This story takes place between the years 2 and 3, and it's before the first issues of Year 3. And the story, shockingly, doesn't begin with Constantine. Batman had an idea, so he sought out Dr. Occult. Dr. Occult is an individual deep in the mystical side of the DC universe and is actually two individuals sharing a body, Rose and Dr. Occult himself. Batman sought out Rose because she is Dr. Occult, and his plan is simple. Superman is vulnerable to magic, so why not use that against him? But in order for it to work, he'll need to remove two problems, Raven and Wonder Woman. Batman approached Rose and told her that he needs both Rose and Dr. Occult, and she turns around, instantly turning into Dr. Occult. Anything you say to me, you say to both of us, literally, Batman. We're at your service, I give you my word. So he sets off on his mission, going to Georgetown first, meeting with Baron Winters. While meeting with the Baron, another individual is standing in the back of the room, John Constantine. He overhears what Dr. Occult is planning, and once Baron Winters tries to convince the doctor not to go through with it, Constantine turns around. Let him do what he wants. He's a big boy and a big girl. I'd have half a mind to throw in with him and take down Old Blue. If only he'd ask nicely. But Dr. Occult informs Constantine, I would never ask for your help. You'd most likely leave me in a trance with my pockets picked. Constantine defends himself though. That was only once, mate. You'd think that I'd be fool enough to try that again? And so, Dr. Occult continued his journey. His trip brought him to Cairo to get the Blade of Durga, New Athens to get the living sphere from the Enchantress, to the Twilight Realm to trade the sphere to the court of the fairy, and eventually to Metropolis, where he began to draw ruins on the wall. He walks into the sanctum of Raven herself, surrounded by hellfire, and sensing that something is off, she begins to throw the hellfire at Dr. Occult. He begins to pull out a gem that hits her hard, but the hellfires burn Dr. Occult alive, separating him from Rose, throwing her to the ground. But Constantine has been following behind this whole time, and as Raven prepares to finish off Rose, he grabs the gem and he hits her with it. With Raven unconscious, Rose looks over at the body of Dr. Occult and sees him dead, turned to bone. Constantine pulls out a cigarette. Rose, we both know you won't live long without him, so you can do one thing. You can finish the job. Go to Themyscira and finish off Wonder Woman. You need to fight like a proper mage, and keep your word. Rose agrees, and she begins to create a teleportation spell while Constantine gets back to his feet. I'll wrap up Raven and try to pull the doctor out from the other side, but if I save him, you owe me. If I survive, Constantine, Rose says, leaving. And then he flicks his cigarette to the ground. He then wraps up Raven in the center of a circle with another symbol on her, binding her in place. And in the home of Wonder Woman, Rose sneaks in, and as Wonder Woman wakes up, she throws dust into Wonder Woman's face, putting her to sleep. Then, as Rose begins to die finally, she knows that she needs to vanish. There needs to be no trace in Themyscira that she was there. Otherwise, they'll figure out what she did to Wonder Woman and they'll break the spell. So she warps herself to a random island out in the middle of nowhere, and using her last spell, she calls up Batman. Batman, the job is done. Raven is neutralized. Wonder Woman sleeps helplessly, and we won't survive. Don't trust. And then she dies. Batman just calls back, Doctor, who don't I trust? Who don't I trust? As she falls face first into the sand, Constantine appears behind her, rifles through her pockets, taking all of her trinkets, and then he stands up, lighting a cigarette. Your trinkets should be more than enough to hide me, and keep me from getting involved in this fight. Don't get me wrong, I think you were doing the right thing. The Kryptonian made a mess of this world, but I'm a family man now. Rest in peace, Doctor. We're both out of this war now. Now, immediately following this, you can go ahead and watch the beginning of Year 3, and you'll see how Constantine did end up getting involved in the battle. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys are enjoying these little side stories while we wait for Year 5 to end. Don't forget to check out the rest of the Injustice playlist, subscribe to get more Injustice news, and I'll see you guys next time right here. Follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian. Have a good day.